Head over to BoardGamePrices.com to find the best prices for Essen releases and thousands of other games. Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here, and coming up shortly is the Essen Spiel Fair 2018. Now I've already done a video of my top 10 most anticipated games. I'll link that in the description of this video, but what this is I have the benefit and the pleasure of sometimes playing games before they're out. And I've played a handful of games that would have made my most anticipated list, but because I've already played them, I didn't want to put them on that list. So this is actually even a more tried and true list than my anticipated, because those are just hopes. I hope these games are good, they sound cool. Where these are ones that I've already played, I already love, and I want to tell you about because they're going to be releasing at Essen. These are ones to definitely check out. I've reviewed pretty much all of these already, but let's go through and talk about them one at a time.
Number 10.
Now before I start with number 10, I do want to mention that Keyforge would have made this list, but it didn't because it's not really going to be for sale at Essen. It's coming out later, I think about around November 15th-ish. I know that they're going to be doing some events around Essen where people will be able to play it, but it's not for sale there, so I didn't want to put it on this list because it's not really for sale at Essen. But my number 10 is called The River. This is from Days of Wonder. They put out maybe one game a year, and this is sort of, I'd call it a light medium Euro style game. Worker placement, where you're going to be placing your workers, and you're going to be doing all sorts of different things with resource management and gathering and building up your own tableau of these different tiles that give you more resources and sometimes new actions. And there's certain ways that you can place things on your tableau board that can actually trigger different things and get you lots of points if you place them in different ways. But the more powerful that your river gets, the less people that you actually have in order to do other things. So it has a really interesting mechanism as the more powerful and the better and the further away in the future you get from the other players, the more limited you become. And it's a really interesting thing. I got a chance to play a handful of rounds of this at Gen Con. I've already done sort of a sneak peek to give you an overview, but in this case, I'm just putting it up there because I did get a chance to play quite a bit of it, and it was enjoyable. It's a medium weight Euro, The River from Days of Wonder.
Number 9.
My number 9 is from Tasty Minstrel Games, and I've already reviewed this. It's called Trade on the Tigris. Now, this is one of those games that has it's like Euro mechanisms meets negotiation, because there's a lot of free and open trading that is timed, quick 5-minute negotiations each round, and you'll be trying to trade for different things. Sometimes you're trading for goods to get set collection to make a lot of points, but on each of those cards, there's certain different tracks that you'll move up and down, and sometimes you want to move up them, sometimes you want to move down them, because as you move up on these tracks, you're going to specialize in different aspects of the game, which will give you different cards, will give you different levels of cards, give you better abilities to do, and some better endgame points. So it's a really interesting thing where it mixes Euro-style set collection and resource management with open trading and negotiation. So if you like those two things, this is a very good game to check out. That's Trade on the Tigris from Tasty Minstrel Games.
Number 8.
Number 8 is called Shadows Amsterdam. Now this game is like, I already reviewed it just recently, and I called this if Codenames, Capture the Flag, and sort of Mysterium had a baby, this would be it. There's two teams, one clue giver on each team, and they are passing cards that look like sort of Dixit, Mysterium type cards that are hex shaped. And their players on the other team, on their team on the other side of the table, are trying to figure out where on a board should they be moving these people to try to find evidence. But the board card looks similar to the Mysterium style cards. So you're looking at the board, you're trying to give them cards, you're trying to get them to get 3 pieces of evidence and get to the client's space before the other team. And it's a real-time game. It is a ton of fun. It's very unique, and if you like sort of Dixit, Mysterium, and Codenames, and Capture the Flag, and all those sort of things, check this out, it's called Shadows Amsterdam. There's no of in there.
Number 7.
My number 7 is from Bezier Games. It's called 1 Week Ultimate Werewolf. Now, this is sort of a continuation of the One Night Ultimate Werewolf style of game, but instead of it just being a card game with cards on the table and you're just talking, this actually is a board game where during the different rounds there's a day and night phase, and there's hidden roles, and you're trying to figure out things, and it's similar to, say, the One Night Ultimate Werewolf, but in this game there's actually you're moving around different rooms on the board, and those are different. There's a lot of replayability as to which rooms you can mix in. Each of the rooms have a special ability that you can do during the night sometimes, during the day sometimes, but so you're triggering these abilities, you're moving around, you're looking at people where you're at. So it basically takes that concept of One Night at Werewolf. If you like that aspect, but you wanted like more of like a 30-minute game to like really dive a little bit deeper and have more strategy and things like that, make it more of a board game, this is definitely one to check out. And also sort of mixed together with the Castles of Mad King Ludwig theme, because you're going around the castle, you're there for a week, 7 days, each day is around. So it really mixes things pretty interestingly. If you like that social deduction, but you want something a little bit longer, a little bit more in depth with more strategy, check out 1 Week Ultimate Werewolf at Bezier Games.
Number 6.
My number 6 is Detective Club. Now, I'll be having videos coming up of this shortly if they're not already out. This game is from iGames. It's from the same designer that did Mysterium and the same publisher that originally produced Mysterium. And it has some Mysterium elements to it. This is, I say basically, if you took Spyfall and it had a baby with Mysterium and Dixit, this would be it. Where there's those interesting artwork cards, and one player is the active player, and they're coming up with a word, and they're playing 2 cards that would sort of, show what this word is. Now, everybody else around the table knows what this word is except one player, kind of like Spyfall, and that player is trying to watch what cards other players are playing, and they're trying to play cards that are similar, because at the end of the round, the active player is going to say what the word is, and everyone has to go around and describe why their cards match that word. So it's really interesting. It's like Dixit and Mysterium meets Spyfall, and it's really interesting. Detective Club. This is from iGames, and you'll be seeing the videos on my channel shortly where I've done some more in-depth analysis of this game.
Number 5.
Number 5 is a party game from Chex Game Edition, CGE, called Trap Words. This is a team versus team game, and it's similar to a mass market game that's very popular called Taboo, where each round a clue giver is trying to get their team to guess a word. But there's words that clue giver can't say. But in this case, the other team knows what that word is, and they come up with a certain amount of trap words that player cannot say. Because if they say them, they've stepped in the trap, and they can't score that round. And as you get closer and closer down the dungeon, each round, that you're getting closer to the monster, the other team has more and more trap words they can lay, so the game has a great arc. It's harder to kind of get through it. And I've already done a sneak peek on this and showed you exactly how the game works. I'll try to put all these links in the description of the video. But Trap Words, it is a fantastic party game, and it's going to be absolutely on my short list when I start thinking about party games of the year. Trap Words by CGE.
Number 4.
My number 4 is from Blue Orange Games. Now, it has come out in North America earlier this year, but it's now finally hitting Europe. It's called Blue Lagoon. This is from Reiner Knizia, and this is a very streamlined, interesting, agonizing decisions game where you're trying to basically score points in all different ways. It's like a point salad game where you're sort of putting things down on a map, and you're trying to score by having a lot of people on as many islands, or maybe stringing islands across. Or you can go resource management and try to get set collections of different resources. And it's a pretty interesting game that has 2 halves where you're doing the same thing, but the second half really has a twist, because what you did in the first half of the game really sets yourself up for the second half. There's lots of blocking of each other. It's a kind of an aggressive game, a sort of an abstracted game, but it's super fun. It mixes set collection and point salad in a very interesting, streamlined way. Blue Lagoon from Blue Orange Games. Check out my review for that.
Number 3.
Number 3 is Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig. This is from Stonemaier Games in conjunction with Bezier Games. It took the concept of between two cities, where you're literally building 2 cities next to each other, but in this case you're doing castles. So you are going to be working with the player to your left and the player to your right. Each of you are building a castle between each other. It's a tile drafting game where you're drafting tiles, and then with the players next to you, you're taking the tiles that you've both drafted that you didn't talk about, and you're building a castle. And each of these castles have different rooms, and each of the room types have different abilities and different ways to score, and it's wow, 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 wow. This game's amazing. All the castles look different, all the rooms are thematic, the art is awesome, the drafting's great. You can play with a large player count, and it plays in the same amount of time, 45 to 60 minutes, because drafting's fast, but it's really fun to build 2 different things and to work semi-cooperatively with the players to your left and right, but still Try to get points and work your ways down different tracks and things like that. Special abilities, fantastic. Stonemaier Games, Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig.
Number 2.
My number 2 is from Lucky Duck Games called Chronicles of Crime. I did a sneak peek of this right after Gamma this year, and I've played a couple more chapters since then. This is a game where you're working together cooperatively to solve a crime, and it's very app-driven. It's got a VR aspect of it, where you're going to be going to different locations and scanning things. And you're going to be putting these, looking at the phone and possibly even using VR goggles as an optional add-on to look around. You're looking up, down at scenes of the crime and calling out what you're seeing. And other players are grabbing cards of what you've seen, and then you're able to then go ahead and scan those things and ask people about different things, ask different specialists, go to different locations. It's app-driven, but it's a game, and it's very immersive. It's a lot of fun. If you like crime-solving games like Sherlock Holmes Consulting a Dead Detective, or even Detective: A Modern Crime board game from Portal, this is definitely going to be one you want to check out. The game is fantastic. There's lots of different scenarios. I think 6 in the base box and many more on the way. Chronicles of Crime, if you like crime-solving games, this does it in an amazing way from Lucky Duck Games.
Number 1.
And my number 1 to check out, now this one's a little bit of a cheat because I don't think it's actually releasing at Essen. It will be for sale there, don't worry. But it has just released a couple of weeks before Essen, but I love it so much I gotta give it props. Cryptid, C-R-Y-P-T-I-D from Osprey Games. This is a deduction game. It's almost like if you've heard of an older game called Tobago. It's kind of like Tobago in reverse, where there's a secret monster somewhere in the North American place. There's water and swamps and forests and deserts, and you're trying to figure out where this is. And so everyone's asking questions to other players, and they're giving answers as to whether it could be their clue or not, because everyone has one secret clue. And you're trying to find this monster is because you know your own clue, and you're trying to find the other player's secret clues, because if you can find the one spot where the monster is and win. But you do so by asking questions, and then based upon their yes or no answers, you start to deduce down other players' clues, and then you're formulating questions based upon what you see on the board to ask better questions and to try to not give up too much information with your own clues as people ask you them. It's fantastic. It is, and I'm a deduction game freak, and this is the best deduction game I've ever played. I absolutely love it to death, and that's why it's my number 1. Go check out my reviews for this one. That's Cryptid from Osprey Games. Well, I hope this helped you kind of get some things that maybe you didn't know about, and if you want to learn more about them, I reviewed all of those. I'll try to put the links in the description of this video. So hopefully you are, between this and my anticipated list that already came out, you've got 20 games that you should definitely be at least thinking about or checking out before you get to Essen to see if you might want to get those. This has been the Game Boy Geek, helping you find and enjoy the next board game you'll love. Upgrade every game you play with the ultimate gaming accessory, Game Toppers. Shipping now. Check them out at GameToppersLLC.com.